Hello, fellow diamond painting addicts, and welcome back to Diamond Painting Anonymous. I'm Daphne, and I'm here for this week's WIP and Chat. If you're new here, welcome. If you're not new here, welcome back. WIP, W-I-P, stands for Work in Progress, and this is mine. You are welcome and encouraged to go grab whatever you are working on and work alongside while I chat, or alternatively, you can treat this as a podcast and just listen while I chat. Today I'm going to be working on my Bubble Girl from Bella Art Diamond Painting. So let me zoom in to where I'm going to be working and I will be right back. Don't go anywhere. All right, let me jump in here with my regular life update. What's been going on in my regular life? Well, not a huge amount of things. We have kind of been snuggled up cozy in the rental for the last couple of days, watching TV, getting caught up on our shows, all of that good stuff, because we've had some snow and it's been cold and windy and just in general a pretty good time for us to be spending time indoors and cozy. And because I've been indoors and cozy, I've been diamond painting a lot, which has been good because that means that I'm getting lots of things done. So I did finish, if you saw my last couple of videos, I did finish my Literate Dragon, which was the Spangler that I was working on all of January basically. Really kind of frustrated with myself that I didn't get it finished in January because I literally finished it on February 1st. So if I had just gotten it done a little bit faster, then I could have counted those hours, but they'll get counted in February, so it's all good. And once I finally finished that one, because it was kind of big, I decided that I was going to work on a small one before I jumped into the next big project. So I completed my Diamond Dots Goofy, which was yesterday's video. So if you haven't seen that, go back and check it out. I actually think he turned out really cute. I'm not normally a huge fan of partials. I like diamond dots and I like their drills. Okay, and I've just realized I'm getting into my diamond painting update, not my life update. So, just been diamond painting a lot and I feel like I'm kind of getting settled in a little bit maybe. I mean, we're still not settled in permanently, obviously, because this isn't going to be our permanent home. We're still waiting for all of that to happen, but we know it's going to happen. And someone pointed out that was a pretty big goal, to find a house and actually get that all completed, which again, not officially completed yet, but it's getting closer. And that was a pretty big goal and a pretty big weight off of our minds to find a permanent house. So we have that lined up before our rental ran out, because that was a definite fear, was trying to figure out where are we going to go if we can't find anything between now and then. So that all worked out for the better. We caught up on our show that was going to have the 8-hour long finale. It actually got filmed in 2 parts. So the first part was like 3.5 hours and the second part was the longer bit, but it was broken up too. So we actually watched it all in one day, which I didn't think we would do. We did take a break in between. We watched the first part and then we had dinner and then we watched the second part. And I got lots of diamond painting done while we were watching it, so it was all good. And now I'm working on this one. So the other thing is hubby and I have been kind of cozied up in the rental because half of his family is sick. They have kind of a rotation so that somebody is there usually every day to see his dad, but the rotation means that everybody doesn't have to go every day. His mom called because everybody's sick. We were there for dinner last week and a couple of people had been sick and were getting over it. One was missing because they were sick. And then after we got home, a couple of days later, we get a phone call. Hey, they wanted my husband to run a couple of errands. His mom needed to go to the doctor because everybody else was sick and couldn't take her. So I'm like, I think I'll just stay away until everybody's over whatever bug you guys have picked up, because I don't want it. I don't need to be sick right now. Thank you very much. So it's been kind of nice. I still don't have my wood stove to snuggle in front of, but sitting in front of the TV, kind of snuggled up on the couch watching TV, catching up on all of our shows, or sitting with a blanket on my lap while I diamond paint. Both of those are good options, so it's been fine. Hubby and I have been looking at furniture for the new place. We don't have to buy appliances because the appliances, all the major appliances are coming with the house, so that was nice that we didn't have to worry about finding those. I mean, it might be a bit of a crapshoot. They look nice and they seem fairly new, but you never know. But at least we don't have to replace anything immediately. So we were talking about, well, what do we need? We need bed frames and mattresses. So we've got those picked out. We'll likely just order those on Amazon and have them sent to the new place once we're done. So we have that. We need a couch and a dining room table. And then other than that, I told my husband, I want to just wait and see. I want to be in the house for a little bit before we decide if there's anything else we need. There's still furniture pieces in the trailer that we haven't unpacked that we can use. I know there's a sofa table. My cedar chest is still out there. I think there's a desk, maybe a bookcase. I can't even remember what some of the stuff was that we brought. So once we are able to move everything and we can unpack what we have, then I'll look at what do we need. But we knew we needed beds and mattresses, bed frames and mattresses. We needed a couch and we need a dining room table. The dining room table, I'm trying to figure out what I want because I want one that's a flat surface. Like lots of the ones we've looked at have like wood grain texture, which is fine, but if I want to diamond paint on it, I want it to have like a flat texture. I don't mind if it looks like a wood grain, but I don't want there to actually be divots and things in it. So we've been looking at tables and then also trying to figure out what kind of couch we wanted, because hubby and I at one point bought at our old house recliners, and they were electric recliners, which was nice until the power went out. And it had like a little divider in between it so that you could put, it had like a cup holder and place for remotes, and it sounded great until we realized if we wanted to kind of snuggle up together, that couldn't happen on that recliner. So this time I'm like, okay, instead of getting like a love seat recliner like we had, how do we want to use this? We know that we want to be able to snuggle up together on the couch. So do we want a couch rather than a love seat? How are we doing this? We have enough room for a couch and then probably a recliner in the living room. So I said, let's just go out and look and see what they have. And we went to a couple of different furniture stores and I found the one that I want. It is like a chaise lounge on one end. So one end of it is longer so you can kind of put your feet up and everything. And then the other two seats of the couch are just regular seats. And we actually had a couch like this in our old house and we didn't like it. And we ended up getting the chaise part put off. So we had we got rid of the ottoman that went under the long cushion, and then we had the long cushion cut. So it just got turned into a regular couch. But the reason for that was because you basically ended up laying in an L shape rather than being able to kind of snuggle up with each other. There just wasn't enough room on the couch. So this one that I found is a chaise on one end, but the chaise part of it lifts up and it's storage underneath. So I have a place to store all of my cozy couch blankets for when we want to snuggle up by the wood stove and watch TV with some cozy blankets. And then on the other section where the two regular seats are, there are two little poles, and when you pull them out, underneath those seats, it pulls out and then comes up. So it basically turns the couch into a big rectangle. So there's enough room for 3 or 4 people to sit with their legs out and watch TV or movies. So there's going to be plenty of room for everybody if we want to all snuggle up together on the couch for a movie night or something. I don't know how quickly we're going to be able to get one, if they have one in stock, or we're going to have it shipped or whatever, but told hubby, that's the one I want. We may have to go, I'm not super picky about colors or whatever. something neutral would probably be fine. So hopefully we can find something they have in stock that we can get delivered pretty quickly once we are in the house, so that we can have a couch to sit on. But I'm super excited. And then I think that's all the furniture we're going to get, because like I said, I kind of want to live in the house for a little bit and decide where we want to put things. I know we probably are going to need some kind of mud bench or something. So like when you come in the house, there's a place to sit down and take off your boots and put on your slippers and all that good stuff that I never had to worry about in the States, because we didn't live somewhere that you really needed a mud room. Most of the time we were coming in and out of the house through the garage, so we weren't getting a lot of stuff on our shoes. Garages are not a thing here, so, or at least for most people. I think that's changing as people build new houses, but for most of the places these days, there isn't a garage, and if there is one, it's detached. It's not attached to the house. So I don't want to buy a ton of other furniture until we figure out what we use the house for, right? I don't want to just fill it up with furniture and spend a bunch of money on things that we don't need. I've been watching a lot of videos lately. Some days I've been having trouble sleeping, so on the days that I can't sleep, I usually am laying in bed just watching videos. I try to watch educational things and not just mindlessly scroll. I've been watching videos about how to journal, how to be organized. I think I mentioned to you guys last WIP and Chat about the dopamine journals and things like that. And one of them, it was basically about reframing your perspective and ways to motivate yourself, because for a lot of people, it's very easy for them to motivate themselves to get stuff done. And the example the guy in the video gave was for people who find it easy to motivate themselves, motivation is 10% of it, and then the rest of it is 90% of it is them just doing the work of whatever the project or work or whatever it is they have to do. But he said for some people, and I count myself among this group, motivation and finding a way to motivate yourself is more like 90% of the job. If you can just get yourself motivated, the rest of it is a breeze. But finding that motivation sometimes is difficult. And he said it could manifest in lots of different ways, at your job, at your home. It could be anything from finishing a big project at work, to starting a big project at work, to cleaning your house, to spending 5 minutes doing house cleaning, whatever it is. The point of the video was to try and reframe your perspective. Instead of looking at whatever it was as something you have to do. So instead of saying to yourself, I have to do the dishes before I go to bed, reframe it as in I get to do something. Not as in I get to do the dishes, because who likes doing dishes? I'm sure someone, but not me. Although I would rather do the dishes than cook, so there's that. But reframe it to yourself as if I do the dishes before I go to bed, then I get to have a clean sink, a clean countertop in the morning, so that I'm ready to go to make your breakfast for work, or to head out the door, or just to enjoy having a clean kitchen, whatever that is. There were some interesting comments on the video as well. Somebody commenting that their mother had taught them to do that. So when they were cleaning their room as a kid, it wasn't I have to clean my room. It was I get to have a clean room and enjoy all of my things when I'm done cleaning it. Or once I get done with the laundry, then I get to have all of my favorite clothes back to wear because now they're clean. So I'm trying to reframe my perspective about other things as well. I also have been talking to a few friends. I got in contact with an old friend from my high school days that I haven't talked to in forever, and we've had a really nice time catching up. I made a new friend over the internet, and it's been really nice. It's someone who is also basically in the same situation as me, who is a US person who has moved to another country. So we've been having a lot of interesting conversations back and forth about what that's like and how life someplace else is different, and just all of the things. Because I told my husband it's just not quite the same talking to him, because He's from here. So while hubby moved to the States, yes, he does have that experience. It's still not quite the same because he's in a different situation. When he first moved to the States, because Canada doesn't have all the weird tax rules that the US does, basically once he left Canada, whatever, you don't live here anymore, bro, do what you're gonna do. So it's a little bit of a different situation, and he's moving back home. So he has a comfort level here that we don't. So it was just nice to kind of talk to somebody who had been through it and kind of understood where I was coming from. So that part's been nice. Also, it reaffirmed that maybe even at my age, I haven't forgotten how to make friends, because goodness gracious, how do you do that these days? It's kind of funny to me that it seems like the more technologically advanced we get, the less interaction we seem to have with each other, which is kind of sad. I mean, we get to have technological advances. So for instance, I can video call my daughter and see her face and talk to her when we live 2,000 miles away. That's awesome. But for things like I have a question about something and I want to call and talk to a person, I don't want to spend 2 hours walking through some chatbot or AI generated menu with some seemingly real person, but is actually just AI telling me what to do and not understanding what I need or whatever. And sometimes you just want to talk to an actual person, right? Like, computers don't have feelings. Sometimes you just want to talk to somebody who can empathize with your issue, even if they can't necessarily fix it. Got off on a bit of a tangent there, but I think that was everything that I wanted to tell you about my regular life. Well, we did have a bit of an adventure yesterday. Hubby and I got up, just doing our regular thing, had showers. Hubby was taking out the trash, cleaning up the kitchen, and all of a sudden he turns on the water to fill up our humidifier, because with all the cold it's been super dry in the house and we had no water. So we had to call the landlord. They came out and looked at it. There's a pretty fancy, I guess, filtration system because it's well water. So they have a filtration system in the basement, which we do not have a key to. So I was like, well, I hope nothing broke and nothing's leaking, because we can't get into the basement to see if anything's leaking. So we called the landlord and somebody came out in just a couple of hours. But it's so funny, until you don't have any water, it's no big deal, right? And then as soon as we're like, oh, we don't have any water, oh, I'm so thirsty, I need to use the bathroom. Thank goodness hubby and I had already taken showers. So the guy came out and looked at it. The pump had somehow turned itself off. There's a breaker for it down in the basement that we don't have access to, and apparently for whatever reason the breaker had tripped and turned the pump off, so it wasn't pumping any water up out of the well. So he turned it back on. He spent probably 30-45 minutes down there trying to figure out why it would have flipped the breaker. Never did figure it out, just told us, well, if it happens again, call me. So, and of course my husband is like, well, it's got to be this, it's got to be that. Like, you don't even know what their filtration system looks like downstairs, so who knows what it was. Of course, hubby is talking to the repair guy and telling him what noises we hear. Oh, well, that's probably the pump turning on and off. Well, maybe, but we don't know that. So they had a very manly chat for 20 minutes or so about how neither one of them really knew what was going on. And then the guy said, well, call me if it happens again, and left. So we have water. Once he turned the breaker back on, everything worked. So don't know what was going on, but it's all fixed now anyway. All right, so I think that's everything that I wanted to tell you about my regular life. So let's head back to my diamond painting life. What's going on in my diamond painting life? Well, like I said, I finished the Literate Dragon. I finished Goofy. So go check out those two videos if you haven't seen either one of those. I think the Spangler turned out really cute. I haven't decided for sure whether or not I'm going to frame it. I want to wait until we get into the new place and put up all of my other already framed paintings first to see what I want to do, because I'm not sure exactly how much space there actually is. And after I finished the Goofy and I was going through and updating all of my spreadsheets and everything, I realized I actually had been planning to do that kit in March because there's a Disney event, and I was like, oh, I can do Goofy for that one. So we'll see if I end up doing that event. I do have a couple of other kits I can use if I decide I want to do that one, or maybe I'll just look for a different event to do for March. I don't know yet. But I finished both of those, which meant I got to start on my Bella art kits, so I'm super excited about that. Now I got to figure out, after these two Bella kits, what do I want to do? I kind of want to keep doing small projects because I know I'll finish them quickly, and then I can be reducing my stash, which is one of my goals. But I'm also like, oh, I don't want to put off all of my big projects until the end of the year, and then at the end of the year I feel like I'm not getting anything done. So somehow I got to figure out a balance for those things. Like I said, I do have some bigger projects that I want to start, but my gut reaction is to just put them off for now until we move into the new house. I hate saying that because it feels like everything is hurry up and wait. And that's been frustrating enough with everything else we have going on. So I don't necessarily want to add to that, but my big projects that I want to do, like one of them is my Heaven and Earth design canvases. I would like to get to at least one of those, if not both, and get those finished because I'll be using my spares. And using my spares is definitely something I want to do as well. The more of them I can use up, the less I have sitting around taking up space. That being said, I already have one of my Heaven and Earth ones, the mermaid one, basically kitted up. I think there are a few colors where I may be short on quantity of drills, but I'm sure as I work on other kits, those will get filled up no problem. But both of those canvases are kind of big, and especially the mermaid, that would be a project that I would work on a little bit, do another project, go back to the mermaid, work on it a little bit, do another project, etc. So if I'm only going to work on it intermittently, then I need someplace to store it. And because it's big, and because I would want to hang it up rather than trying to roll it up or fold it up or whatever when I wasn't working on it, I don't really have the room to do that here in the rental. Most of our closet space is already shoved full of all of our clothes, and I just don't have the floor space to have something that big out in the way of everything else. The rental is decorated and furnished, so most of the walls that could have something hanging on them already do. I think I'm going to wait to do some of those bigger projects until we move into the new house, which again is kind of annoying because it's more of that hurry up and wait, but sometimes that's all you can do, right? Sometimes things are out of your hands. I wish I could make the house closing go a little bit faster, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen, so it is what it is. I'm trying to focus on doing things that I can control and trying not to worry about the things that I can't. And also trying to remember that nothing happens quickly here. When my husband called the landlord to let them know that we didn't have any water, it was probably 30 minutes before they got back with us, which isn't a long time in the scheme of things. It was a weekend, so I was just happy they got back to us as quickly as they did. And I thought it was funny that my husband was like, well, I can't believe it took that long, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I'm sitting here saying to myself, nothing happens quickly here. So even if she could get a hold of someone, does that mean somebody's coming out today? Not necessarily. I mean, I was already in my head like, okay, if we can't get it turned back on by X time, then we need to start calling around and seeing about either staying in a hotel or see about going to his mother's house if they had room for us just to spend the night so that we could all have access to a bathroom and a shower and all that stuff. But it was just a couple hours. The guy came out, threw the switch, and voila, we have water again. So it's all good. Maybe I'm learning to be patient after all. Nah. So other than wanting to start some larger projects, I really haven't been doing a whole lot else. I still plan to see about buying some products from Canadian companies. That's on my to-do list this week, to sit down and go through and look at some websites and some Etsy shops and things like that and see what I can find. I really would like to buy some release papers and another pin. I don't know if I need any more trays, but we'll see. I'm sitting here thinking I really don't want to buy any more large kits, but I did find some small diamond painting kits at some local, it's not really a dollar store, but kind of like that, but they sell a little bit of everything, and they have diamond paintings. Does it count as a Canadian company if I go back there and get them from them? I mean, the company's located in Canada, so it's a Canadian company, but I'm assuming the actual diamond paintings probably come from some Chinese company. That's where they originate anyway. I guess I could just go to the store and look and see what it says on the box, but it would still count as a Canadian company, I'm going to say, because it is a company located in Canada. That's where they all come from eventually, is China, right? Nobody I know of has a manufacturing plant anywhere but in China. Actually kind of excited to work on this one. I didn't know if I'd be super excited to work on it because it's a square. I actually thought this was a round. I mean, obviously I knew it was a square when I kitted it up, but then when I went to go back and work on it, I was like, oh no, this is going to be a round, so it'll go really fast. And then I pour out the drills and I'm like, oh no, this is a square. Even though it's a square, it's going pretty fast though, so I'm pretty happy with how it's going. So I've just gotten this one, the way my release papers worked out, I just had this little kind of bottom section here. And weirdly, I'm not sure why I did it this way, but weirdly I started on the right hand side. I usually always start in the bottom left and then work my way across because I'm right-handed, and that way I'm not laying my hand on drills as I go. So I'm not really sure why I didn't start it that way this time, but I didn't. But that's okay. It's working out pretty good. So I've got a lot of her little, well, let me show you. So I've got her little green top here. You can see the little bells, or at least one of them, the little bells. And then we've got a bubble here for one of the water bubbles. This is part of her arm. And then all of this pink part is her hair. But everything is fitting together nicely. Bella's drills, I think, are really nice. Everything is going together without a ton of gapping. You can still see some gapping in some of the lighter colors, but that's to be expected. But all of like the pinks and everything are turning out well. There is a little bit of trash, but not a huge amount. So I'm enjoying it so far. So good job, you guys, picking this one. I'm really enjoying this one, and I can't wait to see how she turns out with her little octopus and everything. And there's like 7 ABs in this one, so I'm not adding in any additional ABs. I'm just going with the ones that Bella Art put in there, and I'm actually loving it. All of this is ABs. There's ABs in the little bubble here. There's ABs in her hair. So thank you to everyone who encouraged me to do this one. Maybe I'll have another poll about what to do next, because I've got a couple of smaller kits that I was debating whether I wanted to do them, and then I've got a couple of what I call my one-off ones where I've only got like one diamond painting from that company. So do I want to do that one just because it simplifies my record keeping for the stash and everything? So I don't know. We'll see what happens. If you're subscribed and I post the poll, then you should see that. So before you leave, guys, don't forget to do all the things. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and hit that bell notification icon so that you can be informed of future uploads. Or polls in case you want to vote in them. And as always, guys, thanks so much for watching.